are here today, back in our Content Creators Daily vlog, talking with Frankie. So, Frankie, tell us where you live.
I'm from Bangalore, India, the south of India.
And so, how did you get connected to Medialite initially?
It was many years ago when I was 2012. So I came in as a student in 2012 through the church that I used to go. The church sent me here to be trained. From that point, I just fell in love with Medialite and being back every year.
Wow. So, what does Medialite mean to you?
Medialite is me.
Wow.
So
I love that.
everything that I do from now, everything that I do is I learned from Medialite.
Wow. So, you became a media missionary. Well, because that's what we come here to do. So, can you tell us what was your favorite thing in that first Medialite experience?
To be very honest, I didn't know anything in the first Medialite. So I came back as an intern, 2013. So that's when I started thinking. It was a long process.
Right.
I wouldn't lie telling I came to Medialite in 2012, and the next thing I want to become a missionary. It was a process. So 2012, 13, 14, I think 2015 and 16 were the time that I thought to myself, what am I doing? What am I going to do in my life? And it was a process. So it grew in me. It's not that it just happened.
Right.
It was, the seed was 2012, and it started growing in me from then. So 15 and 16 is when I decided I want to become a media missionary.
So that was a couple of years after you first came to Medialite.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit more about what you do now in India.
So what do I do a few things. So one of it is producing testimonial videos.
Right.
So it was an inspiration from I Am Second. That too was Pastor Chuck showed a video in the class about how stories are important. So from that point is when I thought of myself, I want to do that. And it took me 5 years to produce one.
Okay, so tell our audience a little bit about how that was kind of like a way for you to press through the block that COVID created, because you started creating testimonies during COVID, or that's when you started creating...
Before.
You started creating
a lot of things.
A lot of those testimonies during COVID,
Yes.
which was already a challenge. So
Okay, this is we were planning for a while, and we started recording in 2018. So in 2018 we had 2 videos, but from 2019 to 2022 we produced around 8 videos. So on the whole we have 11 videos on the channel. So it was miracle. I don't go asking people to share their story.
Right.
They find me and they say oh, I saw one of those videos. I have a story. Do you want to listen?
Wow. So these were strangers?
Strangers. I don't know them.
Wow.
So that's how I started. I would say, okay, come over to the studio. We would sit and talk. It's a process.
Yeah.
It would take 3 months to produce a video because we talked back and forth. And so that's how the testimonial started. And God opened a lot of opportunities through online.
Right.
Because everything was online. The corporate companies wanted to produce stuffs online. So I started working with Volvo. It's a truck company where they build mining trucks. So I got associated with them. And started producing corporate content. And the classes that I used to take, I used to have 1 or 2 students on the whole. But after COVID, I had so many online students from different countries taking up classes. So it was all miracle, and
Yeah.
I just feel like God was sending people. Like,
Mm.
okay, this is what you need. This is what you got to do.
Wow. Tell us a little bit about what a new content creator, the challenges that they would need to push through to create, even in challenging moments, like
So
you did.
So the challenge that I had was basically to be creative.
Mm.
So it's like you're in a fixed environment and you have to be creative.
Mm-hmm.
And like in Media Light, you are around creative people, so it's easy to be creative.
Right.
But
Wow.
when you're like all by yourself, your brains do not fire in the way. Because when I go from here to India, like I'm the creative person. Like it's slowly, like it's like a candle which
Mm-hmm.
slowly goes off. Like you gotta keep yourself burning.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the challenge was me being creative by myself, because it is easy to be creative around creative people.
Wow. Uh-huh.
So that was one challenge. The second challenge is making things possible, because creative business is not cheap.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Oh, yeah.
it's expensive.
Yeah.
Everything is expensive.
Wow. That's
Needing
amazing.
things to produce.
So, what do you think about the Content Creators Bootcamp?
I'm just here to learn again. Like I feel like learning doesn't stop, and this is challenging to me. And I am not comfortable in front of the camera. You guys can make out like my fingers are like fidgeting and my legs are moving.
I mean, you're doing great right now. I mean, everything you're saying is really on point and makes total sense. So I think it's wise.
Yeah. So I think making myself comfortable
Mm-hmm.
in front of the camera is one of the things that we are training to do. So
During
the boot camp.
Yeah.
So that's my struggle.
Yeah. Well, you're doing great. You're doing great right now. And
I think you're just being kind.
No. I think everyone would agree that you're doing great, and people watching will absolutely understand everything you've done, and you explained your story in a very clear and concise way. So
thank you.
What do you do when you feel sad or like things didn't come out as planned in a situation in life?
In general,
Yeah, in general.
I have a habit.
Uh-huh.
Like if God's going to give you, He's going to give you. Like God shall supply all my needs. It can be anything according to His riches. If it's not going to work now, it's going to work later.
Wow.
So I don't make myself sad over. I might be like saddened a little bit, but I know something better is going to come. Maybe at that time I'm sad.
Yeah.
But I know it's going to come. So yeah, that's something.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about your next big project, your next big dream.
So God's opening many doors. So one is doing English classes in the slums of Bangalore. So I've got an opportunity through one of the organization to teach English. So they don't want us to talk any gospel content or talk about Jesus, but we are planning to have little stories. I hope you guys would have heard Ross's story about books.
Yeah.
So we want to use materials like that to tell them, like teach them English through it. And that's one thing that we are planning. And another thing is, it's been a long time plan to have Media Light India. We have been working on that with small steps, workshops, and all those things. We want to have something big, and maybe a studio where creative people could come and work and produce content for the rest of the world. Maybe we have a setup, something like that.
Wow.
So we can just invite people. They can have a 15-day workshop or something where they can create stuffs.
Huh.
I don't know, but there's a lot of tiny little plants.
Yeah. Okay, so if for someone that doesn't know about Media Light, and maybe this is the first video they're watching on our new YouTube channel, and how would you describe it to them?
Media Light is a place for young, creative, God-loving or Jesus-loving people. So we believe work is worship, and being creative is like praising God. Like
Right.
we were created to praise God, and one of the ways to praise God is being creative. And because we are sons and daughters of a creator, so we are creatives and we are creators. So you are here to be creative, and this is the first place. It's like, how do I say? It's a place where they lift you up to be who you are.
Wow. I love that. I love how you said it.
Did that
And
make sense?
and yeah, it didn't make sense. And that's definitely one of the pillars it resonates with me the most is creativity is worship. And we believe that because, yeah, God in the first page of the Bible presents himself as the creator of all things. And so I absolutely loved your description. And so how can people find you online and your ministry?
Okay, I have a YouTube channel called Bulwark Production.
Okay.
So that's where I upload the testimonial, the stories
Yeah.
of young people, and you guys can follow me. You can follow the videos over there. And another thing is I'm on Instagram. It's Franklin Nissi.
Yeah.
So that's where I post pictures, like portraits, black and white portraits.
Yeah, because you're also a fantastic photographer and you love photography, and so that's one of his hidden talents that he didn't mention in everything else he mentioned today.
I love taking pictures.
Yeah. So follow Frankly online and Franklin Nissi and Bulwark Productions on YouTube, and so Frankie is, I mean, he's amazing, and I'm really happy to be your friend and to have a special friendship with you, and I'm looking forward to everything we can create together in India.
Thank you, and
Thank you.
I love you.
See you later.